And the illustration I used last time, and I want to appeal to it again, is the illustration of the components of a traditional magic trick, right? And this is why I'm calling this talk Hocus, Pocus, and Kenosis, and that the meaning of that will become clear as we go. But as I explained in my last talk in this series, a traditional magic trick has three components. There's the pledge, there's the turn, there's the prestige, okay? The pledge is when the magician presents something to the audience, like a coin, okay? The turn is when he makes the coin magically vanish, right? He puts it in his hand, rubs it against his elbow, and he takes away his hand and it's gone, okay? That's the turn. The prestige is when the sacred object, to pivot to the theological here, when the image that was presented in the pledge, the coin, has been made to vanish in the turn. The prestige, that third part of the magic trick, is when the object magically reappears, right? The magician shows that he doesn't have the coin, but then he pulls it out of the ear of the audience member, or he lifts a glass on the table and there it is, right? And everybody goes, ooh, wow, you know? Of course, if you know anything about sleight of hand, you know that the coin that reappears magically in the prestige is not the same coin that was made to vanish in the turn, that was shown in the pledge. It's a different coin, right? The coin that disappeared was put down the back of his shirt. It's gone. The coin underneath the glass was there the whole time, right? And, you know, the reason that I bring that up is to illustrate the same thing, that just like the Jesus who had appeared to the world, he came into his own, right? John chapter 1. He adorned himself in flesh. He tabernacled among us. That's the pledge. Jesus comes. He vanishes on Good Friday. He vanishes in the crucifixion. But when he emerges on Easter Sunday, it's not the exact same Jesus. Just like that coin is not the same coin, just like our faith that emerges after deconstruction is not the same, or at least it shouldn't be. That's why I'm bringing that up, that the coin that reappears in the prestige is a different coin. It's the same, it's still a quarter or a nickel or a dime or whatever coin you started with, but it's not the same exact one, right? And we get that also in the Eucharist, the Lord's Supper or communion. The pledge, the bread and the wine are presented, right? The turn, they vanish as we consume them, as we eat the bread and drink the cup, they vanish. But then they reemerge, but not in the same form. But rather, as we saw, I think it was at the end of my last talk, the way that the elements reemerge is not that, oh, magically the bread and wine that was consumed is now back on the table, back on the altar. No. We are the body of Christ, right? The bread is his body, the wine is his blood. How does he reemerge after the turn, after we have consumed the bread and the cup? Well, in the form of us, right? We are his body. Paul says we are the body of Christ, the fullness of him who fills all in all. So he fills all in all, but we fill him up. We complete him, right? That's why Paul can say, I fill up in my flesh what is lacking in the sufferings of Christ for you. Okay? So, in the same way, and I'm going to flesh all this out, but in the same way that the Jesus who emerged from the tomb on Easter Sunday isn't the exact same, in the same way that the coin that emerges in the prestige is not the same coin that vanished in the turn, in the same way that the way the bread and the wine reappear in the Eucharist is in the form of us, as we be his arms and legs, hands and feet, as we love the other, as we love the alien, the stranger, our enemy, right? This is how we know God. This is how God exists in the world now. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but I'll be fleshing that out as we go. And interestingly, in connection with this, and as I pointed out in my last talk, when a magician says hocus pocus, you think to yourself, well, what does that mean? Like, that's not like words from some language that exists. What is hocus pocus? Well, most likely it is the magician mimicking, in some sense, mocking the words of the priest during the Eucharist. When the priest takes the bread and the wine in the Latin Mass, he would say, hoc est corpus meum, this is my body. And so it's quite likely that the hoc est corpus in the Latin Mass became hocus pocus in the magician's hall, right? And so this is stuff that we've looked at already. I wanted to kind of bring you up to speed, and I want to pivot from this and unpack some of this as we continue.